didn't know where to go with your carpet.
With the car.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you very much. I'm going to be tough tonight, too.
Are we in for, we're not going to have a battle, are we?
I expect so.
Really?
Well, they say you're a bit shitty, so I've got to try.
I was just going to get my blazer as well.
I shouldn't do that. No.
Well, now look, it's a latish night programme, as you've so ably demonstrated by your language already. And you have been talking this week to some, not to some length, but to some purpose about the film The Night Porter. But because you've been talking about it during the daytime, you haven't maybe been as free to say everything about it as you should so require or desire. Do you understand anything of what I've just said?
Not much. Why don't you stop doing the teacher bit and just sort of say, you say all the words you want to?
Can I?
Well, if you would. I mean, can I?
Yes, you can. You may. I don't know whether you can.
Can I smoke? Because I know you said they couldn't.
They can't.
Do you mind if I do? Because... all right. Okay. No, fair enough. I got
No, please feel free.
No.
I've explained how, if you smoke, all the smoke goes right up through there. If they smoke, they get foam all over the top of their heads.
Yes, the point is, you must never disappoint your public, dear. If she said no...
You have my permission.
You got her permission, you may not do it.
Well, you're very sweet, but I won't do it, actually.
Before we have any more of a good time than we're having, shall we just sort of deal with the nitty-gritty of The Night Porter?
Sure.
Which is...
only if you want to.
I do want to, actually.
Right.
I saw the film,
Yeah.
and I explained before you arrived that I find it disturbing, and I find it very powerful.
Yeah.
Was it, in any sense, disturbing for you to make it?
A serious programme, this, right?
Mm.
Yeah, it was. Because it's... I think I can't say that the film is the best film that's ever been made in the world. It isn't. But it's not bad. But it isn't a porno film. At least I don't think it is.
Which is being claimed for it.
Well, that's what's being claimed for it. The reason that I made it, ego, pompous, but the reason I made it, and the reason that Charlotte Rampling made it, and the reason that our lady director, Liliana Cavani, made it, was that it was a kind of warning film. It was a film to say, look, watch out, it's still happening. But also it was a film, we thought, about something which I think is extraordinary, that nobody really understands about, is a film about burning, passionate love.
Well, in order that we're not talking in a vacuum, which we are not, but maybe the rest of the people who are watching don't know what we're talking about, can I, very briefly, because I have seen the film, and because you're more deeply involved than I am, can I run through the bare outline of it, and you will stop me and correct me if I'm doing it wrongly?
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Or if I'm not doing it rightly, which is more to the point. Yeah. It's about a group of ex-SS Nazi officers who have been kept there, who have escaped at the end of the war and gone to live in Vienna and kept their identity as ex-SS people secret.
Yeah.
They're proud of being ex-SS people.
Very.
And they dress up from time to time in uniform.
Right.
And they carry on much as though they did during the war.
Correct.
You're one of the leaders, in fact, another leader of that group.
Yeah.
And you suddenly, quite by accident, one day, see, across a crowded room almost, a girl who was in your charge in a concentration camp. Mm-hmm. Is she a Jewish girl?
No.
She's not?
No.
Why was she in the concentration camp then?
Well, her father was a socialist.
And that's why she was put into...
That's
right. When you were looking after her in the camp, you grew to love her in a very odd way.
Question that one.
Well...
I wasn't looking after her. She was a victim and I was going to torture her to death. And she was 14. And I played my tricks on her and fell in love with her.
And you see
and I was 24.
Right. And then you see her how many years later?
Ooh, 15, 16, 20 years later.
And she's a beautiful woman.
Woman of 32.
And she's grown up and she's married.
Yeah.
And suddenly, in both your eyes and in both your minds, hers and yours, springs out, fountains out something else again. Mm-hmm. That's a reasonably accurate description, and the film traces what happens to the course of your love, which is anything but sweet.
Anything. But, that's okay, that's fine.
Right.
No, you're right, you're absolutely on board.
Now, before we look at the excerpt from the film, some people have said that it's pornographic. Some people have said that the violence in it, and by God there is violence in it, is gratuitous. Do Do you know the meaning of the word gratuitous?
Yeah.
What I'm asking you now is there any fact, any proven fact to say that this sort of thing could have happened?
But it did happen. I mean, you want the story of the roses?
Mm.
Yeah, it happened. The girl that made the film, it was a documentary director. She made a big film that ran for 4 hours in Italy. And it was about the concentration camps, but about the women who'd survived the concentration camps. And she was 32 when she made the film, the documentary film. And she'd lived all her life through the war without knowing there was a war on. Because in Italy, if you were rich enough and you lived in the north, you could be protected. And although there was a war, they were a little bit short of butter. She didn't really know what the hell was happening. When the war finished, she wanted to find out what did happen. So she made this documentary about the women who'd been through the concentration camps. And she went all over Europe questioning women who'd been in the camps. Now, I don't think anybody here has been in one. I hope none of you have been. But she checked in Yugoslavia, in Germany, in Italy, in my country, France, in England, everywhere. Not in England, in fact. But everywhere else. And this extraordinary pattern happened all the time. And she was talking to these women, some of them old, some of them younger. A very strange thing occurred to her, that through the conversations she had with them, all the time came a little thread, like in a tapestry, like in a carpet, a thread of a woman saying, but I loved the man who took me prisoner. I was raped by him, I was destroyed by him, but I loved him physically. And she couldn't believe that this was remotely possible. And sort of rather dismissed it from her mind and went on shooting and working on the film. But all the time, these extraordinary things of women's points of view came to her about this extraordinary sexuality which had happened in the camp, that a love affair could happen in the Holocaust, in the hell of a camp. I've been in a camp. I went to see Belsen in that April day when I was 24 as a bright little happy soldier, and they said, come along, they're opening a camp. The Germans are pulling back 14 kilometers because the camp's broken down, we've been bombing it, and typhoid's broken out. We thought it was simply that. I didn't know at all when I was walking up a hill that I was walking up people until I went up to my knees. So, okay, that's that. It's a nightmare that I have in my life, and I always will carry. Liliana, as a younger woman, my director, didn't know that at all, but had this story coming to her. Went then to a famous camp, which is now, wouldn't you know, a museum. That's how old we all are, called Dachau. And she couldn't shoot one day. I'm being rather long-winded about this. She couldn't shoot one day because it was wet and raining, and she was sitting grumpily in her Macintosh, looking and staring at the mud and waiting for the weather to clear, and saw a very chic, very smart woman wandering about in the mud with a big sheaf of roses. They were a bit bedraggled, and Lily was sort of sitting there watching her, not doing much, wondering when the weather would change, and suddenly saw the woman was looking for somewhere in the mud. And she saw her kneel and put the roses down and start to pray. So she thought, well, you know, that must be a Jewish lady whose family were destroyed here in the camp, and she's come back on a thing. Couldn't resist it being a woman, Natch, had to go and talk to her. And she walked across and said, do you speak Italian? Liliana doesn't speak anything, she doesn't even speak Italian. And the woman said, no, I speak English. I live in America. What do you want to know? And Lily said, well, you know, what happened? Why are you there with the roses in the mud in Dachau, in your Jean Patou or your Lanvin suit in the pouring rain without an umbrella? Why have you come? Who was killed? Who was burnt here that you loved? Your family, your wife, your husband or your children? And she said, no, my lover. I was 14 when I came here. I'm not a Jewess. And I fell in love with him, and this is the anniversary of the day that he was killed. And he was the SS. Now, this is tough, you know. I don't know if you know who the SS are. In America, I gather, under the age of 25, nobody knows who the SS are. Well, they existed, and they exist today. And so Lily then thought, now this is the basis for a story, and that's why, at great long-windedness, the film was made.
Why is it that no one wanted to show the film when it was made?
Oh dear, oh dear. Well, they said it was boring and dull and full of long goes, and it was pornographic, and they'd have to cut 40 minutes and put it in with something called Deep Throat and sell it as a double feature. You know? I don't know. I mean, you cannot reckon with the boys that buy the movies, you know.
When your job's over.
When your job is over.
How is it received in America? Not to your taste or not to your liking, is it?
I don't mind how the Americans receive it. The Americans are very strange people. Their loss, not mine.
Are you not prepared to be a little bit more forthcoming?
Well, I mean, it's difficult. You know, America's a country... I'm not being patronizing. I don't mean to be patronizing. America's a country which has deep guilt in it. And this film is all about guilt. If you've had Watergate, God help them they've had, if you've had the evilness that's gone on through the whole of the Watergate thing, if you can throw prisoners out of your aeroplanes over Vietnam alive, if you can do My Lai, if you can do those things, you have guilt. You must have guilt. And a country doesn't want to be reminded of its guilt to that extent. And this film is about, I say our because I mean European, it's about our heritage, what we had 20 years or 30 years ago, and what, in fact, now we are quietly, being completely unaware of, allowing to slowly regrow again, like mushrooms.
And that frightens you, obviously.
Yeah, it frightens the bloody arse off me.
Well, look, the thing is, when you're making a film of this kind, which is not like the earlier films, you were involved. Do you say involved or involved?
If you're correctly spoken, involved.
You do. Well, the films in which you were involved earlier, you seem to ride along nicely with them, if I may put it that way.
Yeah.
The films you're making now, in the last 5 or 6 years, you seem to have a much deeper gut involvement in. Would that be accurate?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you
Yes.
actually will refuse to say lines if you don't like the lines that have been given to you.
I hope I'm not as pompous as that, but I mean, more or less, yes. I mean, you know, I'm like you. You were a teacher, weren't you? Mm-hmm. I want to be a teacher.
You do.
Yes, that's basically what I'm doing in the cinema.
But it's basically
I'm not
what you're
making
doing-
movies now just to be entertainment movies. Truly, I'm not. That sounds again pompous. I'm trying to say, with the experience that I've been given by other people, you know, have a look at this and see this might be something we can share together. I'm teaching you something is wrong in the world or something is right in the world or this is what happened to people. Maybe, you know, just a speck of it will work. Maybe a speck only. Maybe only 10 people out of 500 will see what I'm saying. But that's enough.